That sounds very naughty. Is it naughty?
No, that actually means that you're angry with somebody.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got completely the wrong end of the stick on that, which again sounds rather naughty. Yeah. Hello, all, and welcome to a very special relationship. It's UK and US, two countries with you in, as in you cannot be serious. My name's Matt Johnston, and I have a show called The Interesting Times. It casts a Sherlock Holmes type magnifying glass over UK politics. And my co-star, who takes on the untouchables at Capitol Hill, Andrea Bridges-Smith. Andrea, welcome.
Hello.
And you'll forgive me if I start with a British obsession and ask you, how's the weather over there?
Yes, that was very predictable. So today in Texas, it's kind of a lot like the weather over there. It's been raining all week, which has given us a nice break from being roasted to death by an angry sun. How's the weather over there for you?
Well, we have had Storm Babette over here, and it's still kind of ongoing as well. There's been weather, all over the place, and a lot of flooding as well. We've had about three people die already through
Oh,
various causes. Yeah, it's not been very good. And there was a tweet, and I don't know if this is true or not, or whether this comes from Storm Babette, but there was a tweet somebody put up of a car being stuck in one of these floods, and somebody having this car sticker on the back to saying, "Up yours, Greta," or something like that. And it's a certain amount of Schadenfreude, so yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, we might want to start taking climate change just a smidge more seriously. Might
absolutely.
might be a good
Yes.
idea.
Now's a good time.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so were the past 20 years. Also a good time. So Matt, I understand that in good news, that Santa's Workshop has been working on your Christmas wish as the Tories just lost the two by-elections that we were talking about last week. So how bad was it exactly?
Yeah, pretty bad. I mean, those two by-election losses represent a swing to Labour. Well, there's a lot of disagreement about it being a swing to Labour, or the fact that Labour hasn't really increased its vote, but at the same time, the Tories' vote has just dropped off. But it amounts to the same thing. The Tories lost. That's it. That's your
That's the
takeaway,
important
sort
part.
of. Yeah, that's your takeaway from this week's news in the UK. They've lost two by-elections that really they should have kept hold of. Did you know? In fact, we're heading for our third by-election. A chap's
Really?
been kicked out of office, a chap called Peter Bone, who
Ooh.
looks
Wait,
exactly
hold
like
on.
you. Sorry?
Peter Bone?
Yes.
Tremendous. Go on.
You probably won't. Well, you probably would guess with that in mind. You probably will guess what he's getting kicked out for: sort of bullying and sexual assault allegations.
Well,
Yeah.
so we have kicked him out of the Bone Zone, is what we're saying.
Yes, so sometime in November, I'd imagine, sometime in November, maybe early December, we're going to have ourselves another by-election. And he's not got anywhere near the yeah, exactly. He's not got anywhere near the amount of sort of swing way that the other people had. So it's looking like Sunak's going to lose another one. But rather bizarrely, normally the Tories, when they hemorrhage a few votes and keep the seats, you get a senior Tory come on and do the rounds, like a John Redwood or a Jacob Rees-Mogg, on the various news shows to say it's clear that Rishi's not live, blah, 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 time for a fresh start. I think we should definitely move on, that sort of thing. Now, the Tories have lost both seats, and yet no one's doing the rounds. So my predictions are looking a little bit flaky, in all honesty. I mean, don't get me wrong. They reckon there's something like 25 letters and no confidence in Rishi Sunak
Yeah.
been handed in by MPs from his own party. But they actually need 52. They need 52. That's going to generate another leadership election. So
Okay.
come on, guys. I've got a fiver on this. Tick tock, tick tock.
Well, I've got my fingers crossed for you, Matt. We got to keep the faith. I think this can still happen. We've got a couple months left. I got my fingers crossed. Now, over here, we have continued to have a very wild time with our House Speaker race. It's finally been resolved, but it was not easy getting there. So last weekend, we had 9 candidates, which eventually got whittled down to one, which was House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, who dropped out of the race a mere 4 hours after securing the nomination. So he was channeling his inner Liz Truss, just getting in, getting out. That's how you got to do it. Important to note that Donald Trump was making calls for people to vote against Tom Emmer while also being on trial in a courtroom. That guy, he knows how to multitask. So after Emmer dropped out, he was quickly replaced like an artifact in an Indiana Jones movie by another white guy, Mike Johnson, who finally ended up being elected speaker. So now we can all take a deep breath and relax. Just kidding. No, we can't relax because in a couple weeks, the government is going to shut down again unless they do something about it. You can say a lot of things about America, but you cannot say that we are boring.
No, you are definitely not. One thing I would add is Mike Johnson's your speaker now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, and take it from a country that knows, be careful of electing people with the surname Johnson. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
Terrific advice.
Yeah. I've got to say that was a very quick turnaround. I haven't heard of this guy, Andrea. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I think the one thing that summed him up really nicely for me was that he tried to use taxpayer dollars to fund a Noah's Ark amusement park. That really kind of crystallizes who he is in a nutshell. Also, Trump is a huge fan of his, so I am not.
No, me neither, by the sounds of it.
You wouldn't like him, trust me. His last name, after all. Now we should say Johnson's bad. Johnston's
good. Yes, Johnston. The T makes it.
Yeah. So Matt, I mentioned that Trump was on trial and things are going very badly for him. There's 4 different cases against him. We're going to talk about 3 of them. I know it's confusing. It helps if you get like a cork board with some index cards and some string to help kind of sort it out for you. But in his fraud case, one of his former lawyers spent this week testifying against him, and he ended up storming out of the courtroom, and he also got fined for violating his gag order a second time. So then there is the election fraud case in Georgia, where 3 of his top lawyers have now flipped against him. And then there's another election case at the federal level. Again, I know this is a lot to keep track of. A spreadsheet might be in order. But the one at the federal level, his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, reportedly has immunity and is cooperating with the special counsel. Now, Matt, I know that you like to take bets. You've got one on Rishi Sunak right now being out by the end of the year. Do you want to make a bet on something over here on the American side?
Absolutely. Sounds good to me. Count me in.
Okay. So I think that all of these people flipping is eventually going to end up with Rudy Giuliani flipping on Trump, which is going to be a very big deal. So shall we bet on when we think that will happen?
I'm kind of amazed that it hasn't happened already. I mean, can I get evens on it happening by the time this podcast comes out?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say I think he will flip by next Friday. So we'll check back in, see who wins the $5, and we'll have to deal with the exchange rates once we get to it. So, and since we're talking about Rudy Giuliani, I do want to make sure that our British audience and our audience from the rest of the world is familiar with the Four Seasons total landscaping fiasco, because if not, we really need to correct that. It'll be the hardest your nation has laughed since Liz Truss got booted out faster than lettuce.
Yes, I do remember that. Between that and the totally appropriate dildo shop. Now, I actually covered this in one of my videos. It's one of the few times I covered politics outside the UK. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to ignore a gem like that one.
Fair enough.
You owe me for this, Andrea, because I'm going to allow you to explain what we're essentially talking about to the masses.
Okay. Thank you so much. So for anybody who already knows, let's just take a stroll down memory lane because it will brighten your day. It always brightens my day to think about it. Whenever I'm having a hard day, I can always think about that and feel a little bit better. For those of you who don't know, so Rudy Giuliani was having a press conference on behalf of the Trump campaign, and they tweeted out that it would be at the Four Seasons. Everyone thought that meant the Four Seasons Hotel, right? Which has lovely conference rooms and places where it would make sense to have a press conference. The problem was that nobody at the campaign bothered to actually book that hotel. And then when they discovered the mistake, they said, no, we'll do it at this Four Seasons Total Landscaping place. And yes, that is where we meant to do it all along, because we are champions of the working man. And it was extremely obvious that they had screwed up because this landscaping place is right next to an adult bookstore. And then I believe there's also a crematorium. So just a hotbed of economic activity going on that block. It was by far the funniest thing that has ever happened anywhere ever. It's great.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Now, Matt, over in the world of sport, I hear that Saudi Arabia is making a bid to host the Women's World Cup in an upcoming year. And I thought it might be fun for us to think of the least appropriate sporting events for various countries. So a few possible contenders. Beach volleyball tournament in Ireland might get a little bit chilly. The wind might just take the ball out to sea, you know. Then there's
you need a beach, don't you? Yes.
Yes, exactly. The academic decathlon in Afghanistan, ladies, you can go ahead and take a seat for that one. And then a downhill skiing competition in Colombia. You're going to be working with a very different kind of snow there.
I have to say, a surprise. Saudi Arabia. I mean, at least they aren't pitching for the ladies' Grand Prix, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
So I've only come up with two. You done very well. I've only come up with two. One is any sailing competitions in Switzerland, Botswana, or Austria, or any other landlocked countries.
Yep.
Or pole vaulting in North Korea to get into South Korea.
One of the best ways to get there, right?
Yeah. Maybe the only way to get there.
Yes. International Olympic Committee, take note. We're sending out some gems here. Now, Matt, last week you quizzed me on some Yorkshire expressions, which was a lot of fun. So I thought that this week I could do the same with some Southern expressions. So these are expressions from the southern part of the U.S. These have mostly been provided by my mom. Hi, Mama, who, by the way, likes me only slightly more than she likes you. She is a big Matt Johnston fan, and she wants to come hang out with you in London. So.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. And hi, Mama. Is that the right expression? Hi, Mama?
Yes.
All right. There we go. I have to be honest. I haven't done any preparation for this test whatsoever. So I'm a little bit nervous. Whenever that happens, I always get a little bit nervous. Probably more than I should do, to be fair. But yeah, let's give it a go.
All right. Well, you should know that this has the exact same amount of importance as your final school exams. So don't fuck it up. Okay. This is one of my favorites. And I'll do this in a Southern accent. Like trying to pick fly shit out of black pepper.
Flesh, what? I have a blind pepper.
Fly shit out of black pepper.
Oh dear, an impossible task. It must be an impossible task.
Yes, it's something that's very tedious and time consuming. So yes, that's what that one is.
My goodness me.
This one is a favorite from my grandfather. Don't get any on your forehead. It'll make your tongue slap your brains out.
Don't get on any on your forehead. It'll do something and suck your brains out.
It'll make your tongue slap your brains out.
Something hot then, is it?
No, it's something that's exceptionally tasty, like something that is so tasty that your tongue will like chase after it. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, I can see where that could work. Don't get any on your forehead. It'll make your tongue slap your brains out.
Yeah.
Brains out.
This one's good. It's it's also kind of gross. Slicker than pig snot on a radiator.
Yeah. Well, as the term suggests, you're being slick, you're being sort of really smooth or whatever. Although,
yes.
Yeah, although that's not probably the best way to term that particular one. Yes. Wow. I love these expressions. I'd love to think that there's a book somewhere. Maybe there is, of these wonderful Southern expressions.
I'm sure that there is. And if you don't get the Rishi Sunak thing for Christmas, I'll get it for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I got two more for you.
Okay.
I'm fixing to climb you like a fence rail.
Fixing to plant me like a fence rail.
Climb you.
Oh, climb me like a fence rail. That sounds very naughty. Is it naughty?
No, that actually means that you're angry with somebody.
Oh, right.
But I can
I'll
see
be
why you
honest,
would think that.
Yeah, I've got completely the wrong end of the stick on that, which again sounds rather naughty. Yeah, climb me like a fence rail. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I suppose I could see where people get angry, but why not
Yeah.
hit somebody into the ground like a fence rail? That would seem to make more sense
Yeah,
to me.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you like a fence rail.
Yeah. And you know that fixing to means that you're about to, right?
Okay. Oh, fixing to. Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And finally, this ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah, you're not you weren't born yesterday. You're not green, as you guys would say. You're not being naive.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. This is if someone is underestimating you, then and this is how you tell them to back off. So
Yeah. This is my first rodeo, which would be a great thing to say at a rodeo.
it would, and I think people do. And when you
Yeah.
come over here and I take you to a rodeo, which I am dead set on doing, uh, you will have the chance to say it then.
I'll say, this ain't my first rodeo. They say, really? Where'd you go? And I'll say, I've never been to a rodeo before. This is my first rodeo.
And you'll be wearing a very large hat at the time and very,
Floppy,
very
like
tight
that.
jeans. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Big hat,
And those
little
furry
pants.
caps. Yeah. And boots with spurs. I'm
Yes,
feeling
which
it.
you are not going to sit when you have those spurs on.
Yes. There we go. All right. So, Andrea, before we go on, or before we finish, or rather, I wanted to talk about Anthony Pratt. Have you heard of Anthony Pratt?
Yeah, I just started hearing about him this week.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of he's this red-headed chap who basically nobody had heard of, and all of a sudden everybody had heard of. He's I suppose the Australian equivalent of Ed Sheeran in that regard. But step aside Rupert Murdoch, because there's a new Australian multi-millionaire in time, somebody who's ready to get involved with our politics. I see that he's actually been paying King Charles hundreds of thousands of pounds to a charity. It's worth mentioning. And he says he's doing it for political gain. He's actually saying he's doing it so he can have the king's ear. And have you seen our king's ears? I think Anthony's getting a pretty good deal on that one, I'll be honest. He's
So
also the
true.
guy, yeah, he's also the guy who gave Trump some classified information about nuclear submarines. So Trump denies this, of course, and it's called this guy red-haired weirdo. Trump impression incoming. Here we go.
Oh dear.
And he must be a weirdo because he follows me around everywhere. Every time I look in the mirror, I see, oh, look, there's that red-headed weirdo. Thank you. Battering
Very,
post.
very good. Love that.
Now, people might be shocked by this, but I actually believe Trump didn't say anything. I mean, this is a man that can't close an umbrella and boast about remembering 5 words. It's unlikely he's able to hand out a detailed breakdown of a nuclear submarine's defense capabilities.
Yeah, and you know, Matt, that actually might end up being his best defense in a court of law. You know, I'd love to hear him try and describe the inner workings of a nuclear submarine. And here I will also do a Trump impression. It's a long metal tube, big tube, beautiful tube, not like the internet. Internet is a series of tubes. This is just the one tube. It's a beautiful tube. People love the tube. A lot of the good things going on in the tube. They love the tube. They love me. They love me very much. Me, tubes, they love them both.
Well done. Outstanding.
Thank you.
And I'm kind
Thank
of a
you.
little bit jealous. Far better than mine. I mean, I wish I'd given you that line, honestly.
Well, I have had lots of practice having his news shoved in my face all day, every day. All right, that wraps up this week's episode. I would like to thank you all for watching and listening. And if you want to catch up with Matt in between our episodes, head on over to @TheInterestingTimes UK to catch his latest episode covering UK politics, which looks like they're about to get very interesting. And of course, I will be here at Phoenix News Network on Fridays with our weekly news report, and we've also added a Tuesday live news update where you can come and chat with us live, so please do that. Please join us. We'd love to see you there. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.